Welcome back to the Seven Deadly Sins Anime Review, episode number 7. This is I'm reviewing the 60-second episode of the series, The Life We Live, and the 335th chapter of the manga, What the Sorceress Has Kept Looking For. Me. Look up a line that says this episode adapted from chapters 223, 224, and 225. Well, that's not entirely true. It adapts the last page of chapter 223. Yeah, the last page. Because the first half of the chapter was never adapted. They only adapted the second half of the chapter, which I think is quite stupid. And they did adapt the entirety of chapter 224. Yeah, the entire chapter. Unlike last week where they kept cutting stuff, this week, surprisingly, no. There was no cuts at all, which was kind of interesting. I think the only slight change they made is the fact that, well, the character King is actually, when you see him in the episode, you see him wearing his armor instead of wearing like half armor per se, yes. And yeah, pretty much does the entirety of chapter 24. And I thought it was like a couple pages for 225. No, it was more like around the first like half of chapter 225 for the first episode of the season. This episode just finishes that chapter up. So yes, with this particular episode, there is exactly, as of right now for this arc has officially 7 chapters left to be adapted. Basically, what is the plot of this episode? It's simply put the origin of what was mentioned last week, actually mentioned in the previous season, of the curse that Meliodas and Elizabeth are under. This episode is the origin of it. Kind of picks up where the last week's episode left off, where I think they threw in some stuff. They threw in some stock footage from last week, basically mentioning that, well, Elizabeth's got 3 days to live, and then we get some new stuff here. Like we see a flashback of a battle between, you have Meliodas and the goddess version of Elizabeth versus Demon King and the Supreme Being, who is a woman. And you don't see her face for some reason. Yeah, don't understand why. Yeah, they fought them and apparently lost. Yep, Meliodas and Elizabeth lost. Meliodas came out perfectly unscathed after the battle, and Elizabeth died. The goddess Elizabeth did. And then they mentioned that he decided to wander Britannia for a while, and then he ran into a savage version of Elizabeth, where when he initially met her, thought it was actually her, but she ended up basically slapping him, running down the hill, and then eventually, slowly, that they fell in love, and then her memories came back from her previous life, which caused her to die in 3 days. Yep, that's indeed true. That's what happened with her. And she also developed the druid ability to heal, which is something very common. And then, like, apparently she died by falling off the side of a ledge, and then she got crushed by a bunch of pointy logs. And after that, they mentioned that he met up with a sort of like a Victorian era style Elizabeth, who apparently never gained the memories, but was able to live a long life. Lived to be long and about 16 years old. She looked like she would be at least 90. Yep, and then later on she met up with, mentioned what happened in that other country that he basically used to live in, where I think it was called Dresco, I think it was called, where basically this particular set of sequence takes place 16 years prior to the events of the main series, where he arrived in the country, became a knight, and of course he went the good stuff with Elizabeth they've already mentioned before. They mentioned that they kind of fast forward to it, where Fractor, one of the members of the Seven Deadly Sins, since the Ten Commandments, the one who's a villain for Gother, he tries to break the seal by massacring the entire frickin' country, with the exception of Meliodas, Liz, and a baby. Yeah, with the exception of 3 people, he pretty much killed roughly 1,000 people, and him and his horde of demons decided to kill 1,000 people because he just freaking felt like, because he really They're like, well, guys, I guess they can't revive the thing. And then he comes across Elizabeth, who he remembers her face. She doesn't recognize him at all. And then he kills her by using one of his pointy fingers and stabbing her right through the frickin' heart. Meliodas basically beats him up. He gets knocked away, and then Meliodas goes frickin' nuts when he sees the character Liz die. And apparently he destroys the ground of the country. The entire thing. Yes. And then pretty much is explained where the heck Elizabeth came from. Where apparently this version of Elizabeth, her mother, was a woman who was dying, whose baby was given to Meliodas, and then it leads to a flashback that was explained later on when he first arrived in Leonis. And then pretty much that's where he wraps up his story there. Yeah, apparently the whole destruction of the whole country went on, and of course, Homeworld's Lava went on for 3 days and 3 nights. Yeah. Now, he was initially blamed for the destruction of the country, despite the fact he actually did not do it. I think that the King of Leonis has since pardoned him for that, because of that particular demon confessing the fact he's the one who killed Liz. I'm sure he's probably been pardoned for that. Now, the only members of Seven Deadly Sins who we basically know what their sins are is that Gother is accused of killing the current king's sister, Bon, destruction of the Fairy King Forest. Let's see, King for causing a massacre, Deanne for also causing a massacre, Ascadar, kind of the same thing too. Merlin, completely unknown exactly what the heck her crime was that caused it. I think she was simply just recruited because they need someone as strong as she is. And because of the whole stuff with the Henderson stuff they had back in the previous season, yeah, they all got pardons. What they did. Mm-hmm. Yep. And after the whole thing with Elizabeth and of course Deanne, basically, Deanne of all people, it's like, what's your goal be? Go to Camelot. And so they could put on go to this country, this not Conrad, Callisto. They get there and it's pretty much apparently mentioned like 100 years prior to the events of the series, there was a massacre there. Yeah, the whole town was freaking massacred. And then they reach the town, and then they see someone at the gate, and it's Zedros, Meliodas' brother. Though the Seven Deadly Sins don't know he's his brother, the only one who does is Elizabeth. Yep, the only one who knows. The Sins, I think maybe Merlin might know, but not the rest of the Sins. And then the episode ends with him basically jumping out of the boar's hut and goes straight to, Zedros. And that's where the episode ends. Really good episode. And I gotta say, adaptation-wise, this one's a heck of a lot better done than it was last week. I mean, what was the whole point of those cuts? I mean, if you kind of look at it, for this episode, it just adapted like 2 pages from one chapter. Like basically, it finished up 223. Well, it finished up what was they skipped over last week, but not the entirety of the chapter. I would say they adapted 1 full chapter for this episode and half a chapter. Yep. Alright, now to move on to the new chapter of the manga. Chapter starts off with everybody simply just having a drink. And of course, Elizabeth talking to Merlin about and of course they talk about her scar that she got when she kissed Eskner before he died. And of course, one guy says, "What a shame. I have such a pretty face too." And Elizabeth basically starts talking to her. Look here. If you want to, we can go outside to treat the wound. Is that unsightly? No. If you're fine with it, then I'm fine with it. And the end basically agrees. Basically, it's a good mark for her. It looks awesome. King basically has a respectable mark. Gosher says, "But that Escher will live by Merlin's side." And Igor Bonja, huh? I lost. So what? Everyone's taking their own. They can see, and of course we have Meliodas and Elizabeth basically talking for a little bit. Yeah, it's lots of talking this one. You see that Bond is like seriously drunk, and Elaine basically, yeah, you had enough, and apparently, yeah, and of course talking about basically like go up to Scarlet's memories. For King has come full Hero King, and Diane's become engaged with Demon King, the not Demon King, the Fairy King, and Bond's like a confession made up of battle too. Were you the one who incited me to do so? And lastly, Merlin. Yeah, and of course they mentioned that because the curse is broken, that they can live together, no problem. And Merlin, what's Merlin's goal? You never talk about that yourself that much. You work with the captain for 4 minutes 7 minutes since. Actually, longer than that. I don't think she would work that hard for 3,000 years for nothing. Hey Merlin, I'm sure you wish for your own too, right? Very well. You all deserve to know and watch. And they all got teleported. I want to say, hey, guys, that's the Boar's hut. This place is where we fought the Demon King. Look in front of Hawk Mama. It's the magical lake. Let's get started. Merlin, what are you doing? What are you going to be doing to start? Arthur's awakening. What? Yep, Arthur's going to wake up. And you see him come out of the ground with the sword I think Meliodas basically stabbed him with back during New Holy War arc. Yeah, apparently Hawk basically ran there. Talking about Arthur's awakening. He's finally come to meet our master. What's that voice? What kind of like sings it? Arthur, I was mistaken. This sword isn't the one that will kill you. It's the key to advance the new age. Now, accept this key and unlock the magical lake. And then Arthur, and of course everyone's like, "What's that, dude?" Arthur's back. I'm levitating over water. The human race is the most polarizing of races. Clearly, it's good and light. Hit you with darkness. The, the indigenous male of Arius is chaos. If the daughter of chaos wills a man to be chosen, become the ruler of chaos. Arthur is acting weird. Merlin, what did you do to King Arthur? Archie, my goal was wake Arthur, but as the king of chaos. Okay. So, yeah, I kind of knew that they were going to plan to revive King Arthur with this chapter, but turning the King of Chaos, that was something. But I think anybody knew when I look at the tease from last chapter that Arthur was going to get revived, because I think maybe for some people that killing him the character off was a mistake, and reviving him was definitely a good move. But turn to King of Chaos, that's a weird move. And as for why Merlin wants to do this, hopefully she'll explain next chapter, which will probably come out next week. Okay? Yeah, overall, this was a pretty good chapter. Yep. And it is something, though, that Merlin kind of turns evil here apparently for no reason. Hopefully next chapter they're about to explain it, okay? But one thing that I think would be kind of dumb for the writer to do, because he just killed them off, like less than 2 chapters back, I'm hoping he doesn't plan to revive Escanar like this soon. Like have Escanar be resurrected even though he just died. Yeah, I'm sure for Merlin he probably would want to see Escanar again, but I don't think he would want to be resurrected. Arthur I get because his death was basically almost completely pointless, and him getting killed off by a good guy turned bad. So yeah, we're kind of go through the Holy War again. We're having one of the seven destinies turn evil. In the case of Meliodas, it was Nedball. In the case of this comes completely out of nowhere. Because Merlin is one of the most mysterious characters in the whole series. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm gonna give this chapter roughly a 9 out of 10. Really good chapter. Okay, so that's it for this particular review, and that's the last video for today. I probably would have about 2 videos due tomorrow. One, of course, being movie review. The other, of course, being the first part of my Renma Half review and review series. Yep. But see you next view. Bye.